Yeah. Travel rap. Skip. You go. Travel rap. Yeah. Travel rap. Yeah. It's the Travel Rap Podcast.
What's really good, people, and welcome to the Travel Rap Podcast, the place where the art of storytelling meets the world of travel. I am your host, Frank Nitt, and for today's destination, we're going to Moscow, Russia. And before I even got into Russia, I was already getting warnings like, hey, Frank, heard you going to Russia, man. When you go through customs, make sure you don't look too flashy. Don't wear too much of your jewelry. Don't have too many things just out. Just look like a regular person going into Russia because the agents there might decide that, you can afford to pay a little extra to get into a country. No matter what you did with customs and blah, 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 you might be able to afford to pay a little more. So make sure you look as plain as possible, basically. So from the jump, it's already going down. So I get off the plane, and when I tell you they hoard you like cattle when you're going through customs in Moscow, it was like they put you in this hallway that goes down into the main galley of where all the places, all the agents are, so they can, you know, check you out and get you out of there, right? And they hoard you like cattle. So when we got there, it was hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people into this hallway, and the hallway goes down and around. So there's a wall that separates the sides, and you go down and around into the main room. So as I'm going down, I realized that, hey, I'm actually the only black dude here. There is Armenians and Russians and French and Germans and Norwegians and whatever else you could think of, and me. Not to say that there's not black folks in Russia, because there is. I'm saying at this particular moment, I was the only black person I could see in front, behind, side to side. There was no other black people. And I say that for a reason. So now, going through customs and we're going down and around, and you start to hear commotion behind me, right? I start to hear like people just getting louder, and it sounds cheerful. It doesn't sound like any type of danger or anything like that. It just sounds like people are getting excited, right? So the commotion begins to get louder and louder and louder, and as it comes closer to me, the people around me begin to, spread apart and make a path, right? And then coming down the path, I'm waiting to see what it is. It's a couple cameramen, couple dudes with lights, and just excited people. And then in the middle of this circle of folks is Deebo. Yes, Deebo from Friday. Deebo. R.I.P. And when I saw him, he saw me. And we looked each other in the face, and we both looked like, what the hell are you doing here? So Deebo, nicest dude on the planet, came over to me, stopped everything he was doing. Hey man, what's happening? How you doing? Good to see you. What are you doing here? I asked him what was he doing here. He was shooting a movie. I was there to do some shows, and so it was a crazy, crazy scene for me to be the only black dude for like 3 minutes, and then the next thing I see is Deebo in Moscow. Anyway, so go through customs, get out into the mainland, right, and hop in the cab. And the cab driver says, "Hey, I am a Ruski." This is what he said. "I am a Ruski, and I am your friend, and I'm going to be your cab driver. And do you want to take the long way or the short way?" And I said, "What's the difference between the long way or the short way?" He said, "The long way takes 3 hours, the short way takes 2 hours. We're, if it was no traffic, it should take 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But because it's very crowded in Moscow, traffic is terrible. Terrible, 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 terrible. So it's this square. I can't remember the name of the square, but if you go that way, it's the common way, and you see, more of the cityscape and whatever. That takes 3 hours. And if you go the back road, it was just like a 2-lane road with, factories and some homes and different things. And that's pretty much it you get to see until you get into the main part of the city. You can do that. takes 2 hours. So we chose a 2 hour route. So boom, driving through, do, right? And I'm, just taking in whatever sights I can see. As I said, it's not much. But as we're driving, I see like a log cabin, basically, like a small little rinky-dink, small little log cabin, right? And it was a log cabin, very small, very old, a little bitty little car, and a little old man sitting on the porch, chilling, kind of in a chair, just kind of kicking it, smoking him a cigarette or something, right? And like behind him was just open land, just grass. No, like it wasn't a farm. It wasn't set up like that. It was just a little shack, his little car, and a little man, right? And when I tell you, by the time I got up onto this house completely, it changed my worldview. It was so crazy. Like, I come from Detroit. I've seen poverty. I've seen harsh living. Uh, I've lived in LA. I've lived in Toronto. I lived in, I've been all around the world. So I've seen wealth and money, right? But I've never seen them, not person to person, someone from one tax bracket might work for somebody in another tax bracket and they come face to face all the time. But I've never seen wealth and not wealth in this capacity before. So I'm rolling through and I'm looking at the house and I'm looking and I'm wondering like what, because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere and I was just like, yo, like what is this? Like he kind of lives in the woods, but there's a street out front. It's the weirdest thing. And then something said, look across the street. And when I looked across the street, there was a mansion, a castle, and I'm not exaggerating. This was a castle with gates around it. There was a Rolls Royce in the driveway and a manicured dog moving around back and forth. And like it had the steeples and everything, like a castle. It was a castle directly across the street from this little bitty cabin, the little bitty car, little bitty old man. And like in the D, wherever you live, the people around you live just like you. You look the same. It's not like you gotta look across the street and see Jay-Z and Beyonce's crib. So for me, I could not understand the pressure. And maybe because he's a little old man, the pressure didn't matter no more. But boy, I know if I was staying there and I had to look at this Rolls Royce and these people every day, man, at some point I'm gonna start throwing stones and bottles and leaving paper in their yard. This is ridiculous. I had never seen it that close to each other, right? So that was the first thing. That was the first thing that kind of, whoo, hey man, life ain't that bad. You need to reevaluate how you see things because that's intense pressure, and I would imagine for the rich guy, intense scrutiny, right? Like so, that's serious business. So anyway, we get into the town. It's time to go do the show. So when we get to go do the show, we're this place that we're playing in. I can't remember the name of the club, but this club during the day is like a 5-star, super high end, super upscale restaurant, right? And they serve these real crazy meals that I probably wouldn't eat because I'm not adventurous with food at all, right? So anyway, so when we get there, it's the end of their dinner service, right? And after the dinner service, they set up a stage and turn it into a club, right? So, and they did this because the owner of the place bought a sound system, which at the time was supposed to be one of the loudest sound systems in Moscow, right? And he spent over $1 million on just sound equipment and speakers and lights and stuff to make noise, right? So, so when we get there, it's right at the end of dinner service. And when I tell you everybody in here is in it's upscale Gucci suits and gowns and very posh eating. I don't know why you would want to eat in something so expensive because what if you like dribble some stuff on you? But anyway, so it's really upscale. It's a really upscale situation. It's not hip hop or any of that at all. It's very, very upscale. So when they finish dinner service, they begin to break down and set up the stage, right? And when we had to go into the back area, which was supposed to be the green room, but it's technically an office, you had to walk through the kitchen. It was like Goodfellas. It was like, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Goodfellas, but it's the scene when he take his girl to the club to see the singers, and he a gangster, so he don't take her through the front door. He a made man. He go through the back door, and they go through the kitchen, and she's speaking to cooks and chefs and all types of things, right? Like, so it was the same thing. They walked us through the kitchen, so the cook and everybody's like, hey, rap guys, what's happening? So anyway, go upstairs to the office. They set up. We come back down. We do the show. Show is packed. It's crazy. It's crazy, and the sound system is banging. I mean, oh, it was bang, like the whole building was shaking. It was crazy, right? So at the end of the night, go upstairs to the office. But now, the club is basically closed, and it's supposed to be the green room for us. So all my stuff is up there, and I go upstairs, and when I come in the office, the big boss is over in the corner, and it's a pile of money on the table, and he counting money, right? He doing his thing. And then he got a couple of guys in like the lounge section, right? And they got a couple of girls with them, right? And there is a pile of booger sugar, about a foot tall, just a big foot mound of booger sugar, just right there, right? So I come in and I'm going to roll me up some herbal stimulation. I don't indulge in booger sugar or any of those. Just a little bit of herbal stimulation. So I'm going to roll me one up, right? And so, now there's a language barrier because this is Moscow, right? So the two guys are there, and they're, you know, on the Russian gangster side, if you want to say. They was strapped up in the whole thing, yeah, right? Like, so, he asked me, hey, would you like to partake in the booger sugar? I say, oh, no, 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 I'm good, I'm good. I say, yeah, no, no, I'm good, right? And I think it got lost in translation because I went off to the other side to roll me a little bit of herbal stimulation, and he came over with a nice little personal mound of booger sugar for Nitty. No, no. And I said, hey, 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 man, no, 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 I'm okay. I said I was okay. And he said, oh, I thought you said okay. So then he takes it and he puts it back on the pot, right? So, right? So I'm in a whole scene from like a 1960s gangster movie or something. It's crazy, right? Like, so I roll up my little thing, puff, 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 and then I got to get out of the booger sugar emporium. So I go on back downstairs. Now, when I get downstairs, we go into like, it's people milling around, music still playing, and we go into like this little like VIP section, right? And there's a circle of people, a couple of the guys that I was there with, promoters and whatever. And one of the promoters is not Russian, but he lives in Russia. And his girlfriend is a member of the ballet, right? So she's there with all of her ballerina friends, right? And they all got their guys with them, right? So when I come into the room, the people I'm with and all of them are sitting in like a big circle, right? And there's two chairs, and there's a girl sitting in a chair. It's like a king and queen chairs, right? Like big high back chairs. So the girl sitting in the queen chair, and all the other chairs are taken, and everybody's kind of sitting around her, and the only chair that's left is the king chair. So Frank sit in the king chair. Hey, man. So I sit down, and everybody's just kind of kicking it and laughing and joking and just having a good time. So she right here, we talking, she telling me, I asked her where her boyfriend was. I said, where your boyfriend at? Because, all your friends got boyfriends with it. And she's like, oh, he had to work, or he couldn't be here tonight, and blah, 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 right? So we just laughing, joking, and I noticed that not only the people sitting around us that were in the group, but everybody on the outside else in the room was kind of sitting, staring at the circle, right? And, now, I did just get off stage. My ego ain't gonna allow me to think that people is just kind of, hey, staring at Frank. I mean, I'm a cool dude. I don't know if I'm that cool, but I'm a cool cat, cuz. But anyway, so everybody's kind of staring around. So we go through the night and we just all laughing and joking. And, I'm not trying to date or do anything with this lady, right? We just hearing conversation amongst the people. So we laugh, joke, it's all smiles and giggles. So at the end of the night, everybody break off and get ready to go. So the homie that's from there and his girlfriend is a ballerina says, yeah, Frank, you notice everybody was kind of looking over there looking crazy at you. I was like, yeah, I was wondering about that. He was like, man, that was the prima ballerina you was sitting next to. And for me, I didn't understand. Like, I've heard of a prima ballerina. She's the lead ballerina. But no, in Moscow, in Russia, she was the prima ballerina of the Moscow Ballet, which was like some premier, or is the premier ballet there, and very, very esteemed and important, right? And the way he explained it to me was, yo, that's basically the Beyonce of Moscow right now, right? Like a Beyonce of Russia, for that matter, right? She is it. She's on TV everywhere. She's that girl. And everybody was trying to figure out who is this dude talking to that girl here, right? And, for Frank, it was just another person amongst the group to be cool with. You're supposed to be cool and be nice to people regardless, right? So come to find out, I ended up hanging out with the prima ballerina. Now, not on purpose, and I didn't even know I was doing it while I was doing it, but I did it. So Moscow was crazy, man. It was mobster business. I met Deebo in customs. I hung out with the prima ballerina, even though I didn't know. And I performed in an upscale 5-star food establishment with $1 million sound system. Moscow. Travel Rap Podcast, man. The boy Frank Nitt. You know what it is. I see y'all next time.
Yeah. Travel rap. Skip. Go. Travel rap. Yeah. Travel rap. Yeah. It's the Travel Rap Podcast.